when we signed DJ Reed, what does Maz say? Oh, he's 5'9". I don't know. He's 5'9". He's 5'9". Like, the only thing bad he could say about DJ Reed yesterday was that he was 5'9".
Yeah. That is the only thing you can say bad about him, man. That's not even a.
So why does it matter? Like, and I'm like, Maz, how tall are you? I'm 5'9". It's like, what
Maz doesn't play defensive back in the NFL.
Well, Maz should not be a defensive back. Maz built more like a fullback linebacker.
And to Maz, hey, here's what you got to read there is that that the size, is it an issue or is it not? To me, I was asking you before, isn't this more like signing Amik Robertson last year, right? Like size, compete, dog, stuff like this. So seems like he fits in. Everybody around here seems excited.
It's a great signing
with a lot of movement. Spenny, can we say there was a lot of movement?
Yeah, I think you can. I think that's pretty fair to say.
I mean, I'm not going back and on the history of it, but there was a lot of movement, and from what I hear. And as Neal's not here, but I've been told, right, to the fact that we might have signed the best guy or got the best deal.
Probably, yeah, it's either him or the Josh Allen contract. I would say were the best deal.
Yeah, but there's a lot of movement, and obviously the question mark. There's a few question marks within the last week since I've been away with. Hunter being released, with the direction that they're going to go, re-signing Barnes, people are questioning it. The bottom line, get away from the barbecue. Brad Holmes this is what he's doing now, and this is just another level to this. And if we sit here all year and we trust in Brad Holmes, if you don't trust in Brad Holmes, then this would go towards, and you can keep up your whatever you want, your narrative, right? But to all of us that do. Right, where we know what he does in the draft and different things like that. These guys have a plan. Not the plan that I thought. Kenny, you know what it was? When I saw Hunter, and not to the gravitas of it,
right?
But it's a Cena heel turn, sort of direction-wise.
Yeah.
Like we didn't see that. We were all talking about, man, I can't wait to see Hunter and Hutch, two ends, and what are they going to do? Well, you know what? Obviously, not part of the plan moving forward. So, to me, it's just shaking it up. Storylines are shaking up, but at the end of the day, get away from the barbecue. Let Brad Holmes cook, and we have to wait.
And if you're at the barbecue, here's what I ask of people: don't judge the meal before it's fully cooked. Right? Like it's gonna taste like crap if you're trying to eat the barbecue in the first 5 minutes. It hasn't been smoked. It hasn't been soaked. It hasn't been cooked. Like. If you wait till you see the finished product, then we can judge the meal. And that's what I feel a lot of people are being unfair with Brad Holmes right now. They're judging the whole meal based off of 3 hours of yesterday or what he's done so far in the free agency. And to me, he ain't done yet. No. He's going to tinker. Moore's getting added. The draft is coming up.
And if we're talking about the barbecue, we're really just in the marination phase right now.
Right.
Like
gotta marinate that fish.
We're still very early in this process, still a lot to go, but early returns are good. This DJ Reed move was a damn good move. You essentially got the same cornerback back in return for a lot less of the cost.
But he's 5'9".
Who cares? Mick Robertson is short too, and he's damn good.
We're going to have the shortest cornerbacks in the league out there.
Yeah, but this is a great move, and we all know that we want a pass rush. Just be patient. Brad Holmes realizes we need a pass rush. He'll make a move.
Here, and you know what? Smith.
Yes, Zadarius Smith. You always say
Smith.
Hunter.
I always say Hunter. Smith, hold on. We're going here. Smith, Andrew Schmidt. Smith.
Smythe.
But here's the thing,
Smitty.
right? For me being away here and all this stuff, look at it this perspective. Brad Holmes is doubling down to the fan base. Why? Because there's extra pressure on him because he's re-signed his injured guys. He's re-signed Davenport, who we are looking at, and I see why. Is this our Emmanuel Mosley? Is this the guy that we signed and doesn't play? But but stick here. And to Derek Barnes, obviously being injured, but for a lot of us, we saw the progress at the beginning. What I'm saying is why you question is because he's doubled down on his own guys that have been injured, sort of his track record. So he hasn't bought himself leeway by giving other guys a chance. Yes, plug and play positions. Needed a corner, went out and found, I think, got the best corner for this team. But it's the re-signing of guys that have been injured that, I mean, as a fan, you're like, okay, but you have to trust Brad Holmes, because if you're going to give him the tongs to the barbecue, right? And that's the thing. He said, we are not having any Smith this year.
The people freaking out about the Davenport signing, it just baffled me. The guy, at the base of his salary, it's $1.75 million. At the peak of his salary, it's going to be $3.75 million, and that's if he reaches all the incentives. $1.75 million if the guy flames out like everybody. The ball boy makes $1.75 million.
No,
that is nothing to the salary cap.
That is a great contract.
The fact that people are making such a big deal out of a guy who signed for less than $2 million, it's just like people just want to be upset about something.
Yeah, that's a great contract. And for people that are saying, I don't understand why they signed him, or how could you ever sign that contract? That's just stupid. But if you are wanting more than just Marcus Davenport, I can't be mad at you. If that's the only move that Brad makes, then you could be upset. Yeah, I can't be mad. But to be like, why would they ever sign anybody? Why would they sign? That is a great contract.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But fans aren't mad at the contract per se. They are mad at the player. They are mad at the fact that he has an extensive injury history, and we did kind of already see the same thing with Emmanuel Mosley. But on the surface, you can understand why this move was made.
Yeah.
This is great value for an above-average defensive.
And
at some point, you need to fill a 52-man roster.
Exactly.
Right?
And you will never get a player of his caliber for a deal like that unless he is injury riddled.
Yeah,
so that's part of it.
That's a fact.
Yeah, so I'm with you, Spenny. I think we all agree they need more defensive end depth.
Yes.
That's
I wouldn't
where
have him
we all
starting
think
for
they're going to
you
address
this
it.
year.
DeMarcus Lawrence.
But the fact that you're freaking out about a backup defensive end, if he, do you think there's a world where Brad Holmes is going to pay his starting defensive end opposite of Aiden Hutchinson less than $2 million?
No,
I think they'll get somebody. Like I know Flannel said it on the morning show. I've been saying it the past couple of days. Like, I think DeMarcus Lawrence is a perfect fit for what they're looking for. He's another guy that you could get cheap because he's older.
Cheap? Sorry, what's cheap?
10 million
Okay.
around there. 1 year, 10 million, something like that. He is what they like in an edge rusher. Is a big guy, plays the run well, can rush the passer. Obviously, he's coming off of an injury. He is older, so he's looking to ring chase. I would assume he's looking to ring chase. I mean, based on where he is in his career, that's what you got to assume. So I would like DeMarcus Lawrence. I think that's
A-Diz in the chat. Davenport is Eldon Campbell. Listen, if he's Eldon Campbell, that means we win in the Super Bowl, because Eldon Campbell was a crucial defensive piece against Shaq when they played L.A.
Davenport, when healthy, is a very good player. Unfortunately, he can never stay healthy, and that's why you signed him to a deal to where he gets $100,000 for every game he plays. So, like,
that's crazy.
That's incentive for him to play more
put
games.
it like that, that's crazy.
Yeah.
$100,000 a game.
Burn in the super chat for 5 schmegs. Says Lions fans got to quit panicking about not keeping up with the Joneses when we are the Joneses of the NFC North.
There you go.
They're selling out to be us.
And you look at what Minnesota is doing and what Chicago is doing, and they have the luxury of having rookie quarterbacks. And when you have a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract, you can afford to pay old guys to come in here and overpay for guys to bring them in there to fix your lines. And you see Chicago did that, getting 3 veteran interior offensive linemen. You see Minnesota doing that, getting 3 veteran interior defensive linemen. Like, when you're not paying your quarterback $40 million, you can overpay for guys like that and bring them in.
But the point is, they're chasing us, right? We have the $40 million quarterback, but we're also the team you want to be. So as much as it's cool to bring in new parts constantly, you don't know how they're going to fit in the locker room. You don't know how they're going to work as a team. I mean, it's clear Jonah Jackson, who didn't work out here, went out there to L.A., didn't work out there. So what Jonah Jackson are you going to get? Yes, they're adding pieces, but are they going to be enough to save Caleb Williams? You don't know with Chicago. So, like, I understand the argument. Like, it works against you having, but it also helps you so much having that position figured out. Like, look at the Vikings. They talked so much last year about how Sam Darnold was this transcendent quarterback, how their team is unbeatable, right? Now they don't have Sam Darnold. They're restarting with the rookie quarterback. His ceiling may be higher than Sam Darnold, but it's going to take him a while to get to that ceiling, right?
For sure.
You're not going to come out year one just slanging for 5,000 yards. That rarely happens. If it does, tip of the cap, but it rarely happens. And then you got Chicago still trying to figure out what the hell Caleb Williams is going to be as a pro. Yeah. So really, it's nice to add those new parts, but I think it's nicer to have the quarterback position figured out.
You have your team set. And do you want to upgrade the defensive line? Absolutely. If Brad Holmes does nothing to upgrade the defensive line for the rest of the offseason, yes, everybody will be upset.
Yes.
That's not going to fucking happen. It's not going to happen. Like, I would be surprised at this point if he did not trade up to get an edge rusher in the first round. I think that is the writing on the wall, and I think they do sign another depth piece to that defensive line. But I don't know. You guys want him to go out there and sign older defensive tackle for $20 million a season? It's not going to happen. That's not where the Lions are. They have their big contract set. Now they're getting depth pieces in free agency.
And how much do you think when they're evaluating what this team is, they go back to the first 5 games of the season when the complete defense was healthy and they were a top 5 to top 3 defense? You think Brad Holmes is like, listen, we got the guys, like, because that's such a tough position, right, D-Mac? Like, you have the guys, it just didn't work out last year, so on the surface you want to stick with those guys because when they're all healthy, everything's good. I don't have to change anything.
Well, we don't know because they haven't been healthy, and
they were healthy.
They did what they did without being healthy. So
right, they still won 15 games.
I mean, I'm looking in the chat there and say, when are you going to hold Brad to the fire? What are you talking about?
For what? Yeah,
there's no fire to be held to. You played your worst game of the year when it mattered the most, but you have all the talent. You have all the all-pros.
Yeah.
It's a plug-and-play. You're looking for specifics right now. Now, to Spenny's point, Davenport is a luxury piece. And the more you get out of him, like if he can stay healthy, but he's a plug-and-play, certain specific down. You got to think that Brad's either going to draft or looking for somebody bigger, whether it's DeMarcus Lawrence or stuff like this. But we're in the luxury of having to select specific pieces.
Right.
We don't need the whole – we're in a much – better position. So it's like you're rating the heat of it, so it's about adding. You hold them to the fire if these guys come in and don't execute and don't fit the spot that needs them to win. Now, we all sit here and agree that we're not going to be 15-2 next year, and we're all fine with it, but this team's going to be better.
I think what's working against the Lions the most in this offseason, what's causing the most panic and the most doubt in Brad Holmes is that they got a first-round bye in the playoffs. Because let's say the Lions make the playoffs without the bye, and they win a playoff game, move on to the second round like they did without having to play in the first round, and then lose. The optics are still you won a playoff game. You're still okay. Right. It's on the right track. But because they had that bye and didn't have an opportunity to beat up on a lesser team, everybody's like, oh, they didn't even win a playoff game this year. It's like, no, technically they didn't, but that's only because they had the bye. Yeah. So, like, it's so weird how being successful is working against the Lions now and the way they're evaluated.
But that's what happens when you're a number 1 seed. You're expected to win in the playoffs and get to a Super Bowl.
I understand that, but I think the optics of, well, it's been 2 years since we won a playoff game. It's true. It's true.
I get it.
In what you're saying, but it's also not true because you earned that first bye. Yeah. So, but also if they lost in the first round, I think there'd be a lot more panic too. So it's tough. I just wish people would wait. Just wait.
Yeah, I mean,
calm down. Wait.
It's hard to tell a franchise that's been 100 years worth of losing to wait.
But it shouldn't be because we've waited this long to get here. Like, you can't wait a little more.
Can we wait till somebody drops a pass at training camp at least, or gets burned before we start panicking?
Right.
I mean, wait till DJ Reed gets fried by Amon-Ra Brown in the first practice game.
Yeah, I don't agree with it. I can just understand it. That's all.
Look at this, the wavy gang in the chat. We just got worse.
Yeah, Harold Coburn with a $20 super chat in there. If you want to read that one.
Yeah, definitely want to read that. These flip-flop fans, Brad called about Crosby, then called about Miles, but they didn't want to budge. Seem like these guys that are the loudest let Brad cook are also screaming about when it's not done.
Exactly.
And that's true.
For sure.
Another point is Myles Garrett signed for $40 million a year. In what world are you going to have $80 million a year occupied on your defensive
In no
line?
world.
Yeah.
Could you sign Aiden Hutchinson to $40 million and have Myles Garrett at $40 million?
No.
There's a salary cap for a reason.
If you did, you'd be severely handcuffed.
Yeah, if you did, it's going to be Maz at defensive back.
Right.
Because that's all you're going to be able to afford.
Yeah, there's a reason nobody in the league has two of those guys.
Right. Yeah.
Like it.
It's the truth. But Brad is doing his part. That's all you can ask for. He's called about these guys. He's made inquiries about these guys. I'm sure he's offered a deal or two for these guys, but they weren't available. So you got to live with that. But as long as Brad is doing his due diligence, I can't be mad as a fan. He's doing what he's supposed to do.
I got a super chat from Byrne directed at one Darren McCarty. Big Z is 33 and in the last year of his contract with no deal or security. I ask what D-Mac would do in that situation.
You sign for less. I come back. I mean, if I like the situation and more,
that door's not
more
closed.
on approve it, maybe the incentive. But I mean, if that's the case, and the fact is you released me and nobody jumped out, I didn't see his name, Smith on the list, is the fact that maybe that's what they're going to do. Maybe bet on yourself and it's more incentive based, and maybe that's what's working out. Can we let something like that? You got to look and see what his priorities. He's probably, and to that point, your agent is going to try to go get you the best. It's your last contract.
Depends what you want. If you want a ring chase or if you
well,
want...
that's the whole thing. Is like, does being here, and the one thing with Zadarius Smith is that he endeared himself to this community, right? Wearing all the stuff, going to the Pistons. So you
Paying cash doll.
Right.
This might be, hey, you know what? It might be throwing all your eggs in the basket, and it ain't about the money and stuff like this. Maybe the conversation is when they release them. Hey, we got to save this money, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, like, maybe we can work something out.
It just seems like the same people that were complaining about Zadarius Smith productivity during the season are the same people that are complaining that he's not coming back. Like, it makes no sense. Part of it maybe that he had that ring made up, like the ring before the ring, and maybe people got a little too emotional. He was Rasheed Wallace when he came. He was the missing link. But the door's still open for him to sign for less. And if he was your answer, I don't think that's the best answer to the problem either.
I think I can understand, again, I can understand people being upset if there's no corresponding move. If you release Zadarius Smith and that's just it, and you don't sign another defensive end, I can understand people being upset because, you know, he had 9 sacks last year. He did have 4 sacks for the Lions without Aiden Hutchinson, so you'd love to see what they looked like with each other on the floor or on the field at the same time. But I don't think that Brad's just done. I know you guys need it now and want it now and need to see it in front of you right now, or it's never going to happen, and nobody will ever sign to the Detroit Lions because they didn't do it in the first day, and Brad Holmes is never going to sign any free agents ever again. And I understand that's how it goes, but it was the first day of free agency. I would be surprised if they did not add defensive end depth, because I don't think you cut Zadarius Smith for what you did and let Ife Melifonwu sign somewhere else for $4 million if you're not going to sign somebody. They have money they're sitting on.
Funny boy Roddy in the chat. Let's go Vikings.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah. Noted
indeed.
Vikings fan.
Let's
Thanks
go,
for
fraudulent
paying.
Vikings.
Thanks for paying.
Yeah, well, no, listen, I can be bought.
can't
We said this after the Lions lost to the Commanders. I will read any trash talk, but it's got to be over $20. That was after a playoff loss. But a Vikings fan dropping in the chat. We appreciate you. Sorry you don't have a Woodward Sports where you're from.
B. Harry JR 23 in the chat says,